She's the quiet warrior of women's tennis. Calm, composed, almost unshakable. But what if I told you that behind Elena Rybakina's icy exterior, there's been a storm raging all along? Recently, the reigning Wimbledon champion and one of the most dangerous players on tour made a shocking confession. I wanted to quit. Not because she was losing, but because the pressure, the pain, and the silence became unbearable. This wasn't the statement of a player past her prime. This was from a young champion still at the peak of her career, hinting at the emotional battles she's been fighting away from the spotlight. Today we dive deep into the untold struggles of Elena Rybakina, the mental toll, the injury nightmares, the hidden loneliness of the tour, and how she came dangerously close to walking away from the sport entirely. Before we uncover the full story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because here we bring you the real stories of the tennis world. From the outside, Elena Rybakina's career looks like a dream. A Grand Slam champion at just 23, a top 5 ranking, the poise of a veteran, and the effortless power to blast opponents off the court. But the truth, it wasn't a fairy tale. After her stunning Wimbledon victory in 2022, Rybakina was expected to dominate the WTA Tour. Pundits called her the future of women's tennis. Sponsors started knocking. The media kept chasing her. And every tournament became a proving ground. And for a while, she kept up the act, winning big matches, keeping her emotions in check, always looking calm. But behind the scenes, the pressure was crushing her. The breaking point. In a recent interview, Rybakina revealed, "I wanted to stop. It's very hard to keep going when everything feels heavy, even when people think you're winning." The problems weren't just mental. Her body began rebelling. Through 2023 and early 2024, Rybakina battled recurring illnesses, lingering injuries, and extreme fatigue. There were tournaments she entered but could barely finish. In Rome, she struggled through a fever. In Montreal, she played with severe shoulder pain. And every time she pulled out of an event, the whispers started. Is she mentally tough enough? Without anyone knowing how much she was already enduring. The lonely road of a champion. Life on the tennis tour sounds glamorous. First-class flights, luxury hotels, thousands of fans chanting your name. But for players like Rybakina, it's often lonely, isolating, and emotionally draining. She doesn't travel with a massive entourage. Her close circle is small. Her coach, sometimes family, and a few trusted friends. But when the day match is over, the hotel room feels quiet. Too quiet. People think we only play 2 hours a day, she said once. But the rest of the time you're away from home, from normal life. It's not easy. For someone as naturally introverted as Rybakina, that isolation was starting to eat away at her. The shadow of expectations. Winning Wimbledon was both a blessing and a curse. Overnight, the Kazakh star went from being an underdog to a global name. Every opponent now studied her game meticulously. Every loss became headline news. The constant expectation to win every match, to always be the champion, created a mental cage. She was no longer just playing tennis. She was defending a title every single day. And the public didn't always help. On social media, any sign of weakness was met with criticism. People questioned her commitment. Some even said she lacked fire compared to other stars. The health crisis nobody saw. 2024 started promisingly, but soon her body betrayed her again. She dealt with an ongoing viral illness that drained her energy for weeks. Her fitness suffered. Training became torture. Imagine trying to play against the best athletes in the world when your body feels like it's carrying a 20 kilograms weight. That's what she faced, and still stepped onto the court. But the frustration kept building. One morning, she admitted she stared at her racket and thought, what if I just stopped? The turning point? So, what stopped her from quitting? 2 things. Her competitive fire and the people who refused to let her give up. Her coach, Stefano Vukov, reportedly had tough conversations with her, reminding her that her story wasn't finished, that champions fight through the shadows. Her family encouraged her to take breaks, to prioritize her health. And perhaps most Importantly, Rybakina began opening up. More about her struggles. Speaking about. The pressure allowed her to reclaim some control over it, fighting back. She adjusted her schedule, skipping certain tournaments to focus on recovery. She hired specialists to help her with both physical conditioning and mental resilience. And slowly she began rediscovering her love for the game. Not just the winning, but the process, the training, the discipline, the moments of pure joy when she hit the perfect shot. At Indian Wells, she looked sharper. In Stuttgart, she played with more confidence, and while she wasn't yet back to her absolute best, there was a new light in her demeanor, a sign she wasn't done fighting. The bigger conversation in tennis. Rybakina's honesty has opened a wider discussion in tennis about mental health and burnout. From Naomi Osaka to Ashley Barty, we've seen champions walk away. Not because they couldn't win, but because they couldn't carry the emotional weight anymore. For a long time, tennis ignored these realities. Now, players are speaking up. Fans are listening, and organizations are slowly providing better support systems. Could Rybakina's story inspire more changes? Possibly. What's next for Rybakina? If she can stay healthy and balance her schedule, there's no doubt she remains one of the top threats on the WTA Tour. Her serve, her baseline power, her composure under pressure, all still world-class. The question is, can she find that spark again consistently? We've seen her come close to quitting. Now we might be about to see the most determined, dangerous version of Elena Rybakina yet. What do you think, tennis fans? Do you believe Rybakina will return to her dominant best? Have we underestimated how much pressure top players face behind the scenes? Could her struggles make her even stronger champion? Elena Rybakina's story isn't just about tennis. It's about resilience. About walking to the edge of giving up and stepping back to fight again. Her words, "I wanted to quit," may sound heartbreaking, but they also show her humanity. And sometimes it's that vulnerability that makes a champion's journey truly unforgettable. If you've ever faced a moment where you wanted to give up, remember Elena's story. Because sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to walk away. Don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive tennis stories, match analysis, and breaking news from the WTA and ATP tours. Hit that like button if you believe in Rybakina's comeback, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Chat R. It was supposed to be another post-match interview, routine, polite, and as dry as the court dust clinging to her sneakers. But instead, Elena Rybakina's voice cracked. "I wanted to quit," she whispered, eyes glassy. The press room hushed. A moment later, the Kazakh star turned her head slightly, visibly swallowing emotion. The world had seen Elena Rybakina lift trophies with cold precision, serve aces like a machine, and walk off court with the cool detachment of a seasoned champion. But this was something else. A confession. A revelation. A tearful truth. The machine with a human heart. For years, fans and commentators labeled Rybakina robotic. Her expression rarely changed, win or lose. Her powerful ground strokes and fluid movement painted her as a calm assassin of the court, too quiet to be a firebrand, too efficient to be troubled. Yet beneath that exterior, something had been brewing. It started after Wimbledon, she explained, referring to her 2022 Grand Slam victory that thrust her into the spotlight. Everyone thought winning would solve everything. But the pressure, it built up in ways I didn't expect. The pressure. That word again. Not the visible kind. Not the screaming fans, not the flash of paparazzi bulbs, not even the weight of expectations from her team or sponsors. It was the invisible kind, the self-imposed standard of perfection. The need to validate her place among the elite. The voice in her head that said, "If you don't win, you don't belong." I was burned out. Completely. I'd wake up and dread going to practice. I was crying in hotel rooms, and nobody knew. Not my coaches. Not my family. Not even me, really. I didn't understand why I felt so empty. Behind the curtains of glory. What fans see is the glory, the titles, the paychecks, the glamorous travel. But Rybakina opened the door to what lies behind it all: jet lag, loneliness, injury, mental fatigue, and the aching sense that life is on hold. "You train for years to be here, and then suddenly you're here, but you feel lost," she said. I started asking myself questions I never had time to consider. What do I want outside tennis? Who am I when I'm not competing? And I didn't have the answers. The breaking point, she shared, came not after a loss but after a win, at a small tournament in Eastbourne. I had just won a quarterfinal, and I sat down in the locker room. I should have been happy. But I felt nothing. I remember thinking, if I feel this empty even when I win, what's the point? She paused. That night, I told my coach I wanted to quit. The room fell silent. No one interrupted. Not the reporters. Not the moderator. Everyone leaned in, waiting, not as journalists but as humans. The call that changed everything. It was her mother who changed the tide. She called me that night, Rybakina said, eyes drifting upward. She didn't beg me to stay. She didn't tell me to push through. She just said, it's okay to rest. It's okay not to be okay. The next day, Rybakina skipped practice. She turned off her phone. She walked the beach alone, no racket in hand. For once, she let herself breathe. And then, slowly, the pieces began to return. Not all at once. Not like a magic moment in a sports movie. But little by little. I realized that I'd made tennis my entire identity. I needed to separate myself from it. I needed to love Elena the person, not just Elena the player. A new kind of strength. Today, Elena Rybakina is back in the top ranks, and her game is stronger than ever. But something fundamental has shifted. She smiles more. She speaks more openly. And now, she's talking about mental health with a candor that few champions dare to approach. I know people see me as quiet, she said with a light laugh. But I'm learning to speak. I'm learning to share. If there's even one young player out there watching this who feels the same pressure, I want them to know it's okay to feel it. It's okay to step back. She's now working with a sports psychologist. She's journaling, meditating, even painting. I'm terrible at it, she admits, laughing. But it's not about being good. It's about doing something that isn't about winning. The fans react. When footage of Rybakina's tearful interview hit social media, it exploded. #WeLoveYouElena trended within hours. Fans flooded her Instagram with messages of support. Rival players like Iga Swiatek and Ons Jabeur reposted clips of her speech with heart emojis and messages like, "Thank you for your courage." She's not just a champion on court. She's a champion off it, one fan tweeted. Another wrote, "Elena's honesty helped me more than she'll ever know. I'm struggling too. And now I know I'm not alone." It's strange, isn't it? How one moment of vulnerability can make someone stronger in the eyes of the world. The comeback isn't just on court. Rybakina isn't calling this a comeback in the traditional sense. Yes, she's playing better. Yes, she's winning. But more importantly, she's living. I stopped measuring my worth in titles, she says. Now I ask myself, am I happy? Am I proud of how I handled today? And some days, I'm not. And that's okay too. She still has goals, another Grand Slam. Olympic gold. A shot at world #1. But they're no longer the only goals. I want to mentor young players. I want to write a book one day. I want to travel without a racket bag. Just see the world, not just hotels. The audience in the press room erupted into soft laughter. But there was respect in it. Elena Rybakina, the reserve powerhouse, had just shown them a new kind of power, the strength to be soft, to be scared, to be seen. The final word. As the interview wrapped, a reporter timidly asked, "Do you still think about quitting?" Rybakina took a breath. Thought about it. "Sometimes," she said, smiling gently. "But then I remember, I'm not playing to prove something anymore. I'm playing because I love it again. And that, perhaps, is the greatest victory of all."